The one decision that changed my whole life and consequently my retirement along with it. Guys, do you have any of those? Have any of you in your past had one decision that you've made that has changed everything for you? Everything. If so, let us know in the comments. It could have been one monumental choice, right? It could have been a series of things leading up to that. What I've got is I've got two of them. The first one I'm going to tell you because it relates to the one huge decision that I made later on, okay? So here we go. After I graduated from UCLA back in, what was it, 87? I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just, applied on a whim to get my MBA at Berkeley. And I got in. Surprise, surprise, I got in. So while I was there, first of all, the smartest people I've ever met were in that MBA program. I thought the people at UCLA were very intelligent. No, I'm a pretty intelligent guy. But when I got to Berkeley, man, I literally was probably in the lowest 5% of the class as far as just intelligence, okay? So what we had is a 2-year program. An MBA full-time program is usually 2 years. So in between the first and the second year, we would get an internship someplace. I got mine at Capitol Records, okay? Changed my life. Up until then, I was thinking, okay, MBA, I'll go into, investing. I'll go into real estate. I'll start my own company because those are the skills that you learned in the MBA program, okay? That free internship at Capitol Records changed my life. I got in there was music pumping out of all the offices. Everyone was wearing jeans and t-shirts. Even the executives were wearing jeans and t-shirts. After that, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. The next year I graduated, and right before graduation, I got a job as an assistant to the vice president of publicity at MCA Records. Only reason I got it is because he said he wanted an assistant who had an MBA. Okay, this was paying me, it was going to be 29, but he bumped it up to 30 because I had an MBA. Woo! That's what he said. Okay, yay, great boss, thanks. Everyone else was getting stuff that was like $65,000 a year and above, and a lot were getting, 6 figures in their starting salaries, okay? That was the first decision that led to the decision I'll get to now. And what was the choice for me? The choice was doing something that made me happy. That internship just blew my mind. I mean, it made me happy. I could not imagine not working in a place like that. I didn't care what I was going to be paid. Didn't matter to me, okay? So I was an assistant in publicity for a year and a half, 2 years. Then I got promoted over to more of the distribution side, doing sales forecasting, inventory management. Okay. At the time, I did that for another 2 or so years as a coordinator, and then I got promoted to manager. Okay, so I had, at the time, I think I had 1 person reporting to me. Later on, it became, the most I ever had was 3. I wasn't a high level manager throughout my whole career. I was not, okay? Most I ever had was 3. So I'm sitting there, after, I think I was 35 at the time, 36. My life was great. I was going out and seeing bands almost every night of the week for free because we could. We got free tickets and we got free drinks with that. It was great. So then an old boss of mine told me about an opening that was coming up in a different part of the company. This was part of the company that would deal with special packages, like they'd put together like box sets and stuff like that. Really cool, right? So what it was a senior director position. I was a manager at the time. Okay, so we're talking a big step. You went from manager to senior manager to director and then to senior director. So this would have been a big step for me. Okay, at the time, I think I was making around 38, maybe 40,000. This job would have been a bump to $65,000 a year. Okay, and within a year, that job would have become automatically, it was kind of like a trial by fire for a year. That job would have automatically been bumped up to a vice president after a year. So that $65,000 would have gone up to a salary baseline of $100,000. Okay. And if once you get to that jump, vice president, especially senior vice president, executive vice president, which is definitely a possibility if you do good as a vice president, the numbers can go way up. Okay, we had some executive VPs, I think, making at the time, this is back in 1987, $600,000, $800,000 a year. Okay, so anyway, would have been a senior director after a year, would have bumped $100,000. I was like, great. I didn't think that I had any chance of getting the job at all. None. I just didn't. It wasn't what I had been doing. It wasn't my job experience that I've been doing so far. Nothing. Okay, so I went in for the interview, and because I thought I had no chance, I was relaxed. And I was really, really relaxed in that interview, and I thought I did really well. So this was on, I don't know what it was, Monday or Tuesday, and I get the call back on Friday saying, you've got the job. I was ecstatic, okay? On a Friday. Remember, this is a Friday, all right? My boss, my ex-boss who recommended me for the position told me that one of the main reasons they wanted to hire me is because I have an MBA. Going back to that first decision of when I got my MBA, it definitely helped, okay? So this is on a Friday. So I'm thinking, I'm ecstatic. All Friday night, I wake up Saturday morning and I go, you know what? Maybe I should call the guy who's leaving that position, the senior director position. He hadn't been there that long, and see what the job is like. So a friend of a friend hooked us up. I talked to him and he said, yeah, well, we're working like 12, 13-hour days, and I'm usually working 6 out of 7 days. Sometimes on the 7th for a little bit just to get caught up. That changed my mind in a big way. Why? Because throughout my life, I have an issue with depression and anxiety. I do not deal well with anxiety. When I am very anxious over, let's say, a month or two period, that turns into depression for me. Okay? It's not a pretty place to be. I've been dealing with this off and on since I was 15. So I got off the phone with him on a Saturday. Immediately, I had just a knot in my stomach. Okay? It went from euphoria to gloom and doom about this job. So what did I do? I went in on Monday and I turned the job down. The hiring manager, the person who was going to hire me, she was a vice president. And she was trying to talk me out of it for a couple days. And I finally just said, look, I really appreciate it, but I can't do this job. I just can't do it. Needless to say, the person who recommended me, my old boss, we kind of like strained our relationship, not forever, but for a little while, because he wanted to make sure I wanted this job before he recommended me. Yeah, didn't look too good on him afterwards. So anyway, I said no to that. Okay, I went back to my $38,000, $40,000 a year job, right? And I turned down the $65,000, which within 1 year, if I would have done okay, would have turned into $100,000. And boom, you're on your way after that. I would have been 37, 38. Okay. So I was stuck through the music industry for 20 years, never making more than $75,000 a year. All right. How would that have changed my retirement? Accepting that job at 37 or 38, which within a year would have bumped up to a VP. It would not have been a moderate income retirement, guys, at all at that age. Now, if I would have been 58 and that would have happened, okay, that's different. 38, all right? Do I regret it? Monetarily, sometimes. But from just a life choice, no. I would have been miserable. I would have had knots in my stomach all day long. My depression would have gone through the basement. Okay? But that is the biggest decision I have ever made that has changed my life. Number one, in changing my life for a positive, I think, because I was able to just exist in my current job. That wasn't that, at times it could be stressful, but for the most part, it was a joy. I still had that. My mental health was good because of that choice. Who knows what would have happened to me if I would have chose that high stress position, even though it had much more money coming to me, right? That was the biggest decision for me as far as changing the rest of my life. I would definitely not be in a moderate income retirement, but how would I have even got to retirement if I took that high stress position? Now, I have never, attempted suicide. I mean, my depression didn't get that low, but it was low enough that it affected my job. I was calling in sick left and right, certain stressful times during the year. How would that have affected me if I would have taken that just meat grinder job? I might not even have been here now. Okay. So overall, was it a good decision to turn that down? That totally changed the course of my life? I think it was. Okay. I really do. I think it was. But at the time, you don't think it's going to be a life altering decision, right? But the further and further I got away from that decision, and I got to tell you guys, for the first 5, 10 years, I regretted turning that job down. I really regretted that. But as you get older and you get wiser and you look back with wiser eyes, that regret has got less and less and less and less. To now, every once in a while, financially, if there's something that you want to do in retirement, you're like, well, I don't have 3 million in the bank, so that might not be a good thing to buy. That might not be a huge vacation that I should really go on, right? Those are the times when I do regret it, but it's few and far in between. So guys, leave us your stories. Was there ever one big life-changing decision for you? Let us all know. Everyone, I'm sure anyone out there that's watching this has a decision like that. So let us all know. And as always, from the lovely high desert, we got this.